You're watching Pedestal by Ashley Sargeant Hagan. Chapter 12. Tea by yourself can be an extremely lonely meal. Edwin drained his cup and stood to leave, throwing money on the table to cover the bill. As he crossed the room, his eyes met the gaze of Mr. Tastan. There was instant recognition, and the Turkish man waved him over. He stood and shook hands with Edwin. "You were at the exhibition opening," he said in a deep, slightly accented voice. "Yes, Edwin Sterling." "Please have a seat. Join us. You are an actor, I am told." Edwin sat opposite the businessman, struck again by his intense yet melancholy eyes. Deep-set eyes. "Yes," he replied. "You like history, Mr. Sterling?" "Yes," agreed Edwin, "and historians." His eyes strayed to the staircase where Adriana had disappeared. Mr. Tastan chuckled. "Love, it is our written history, is it not?" Edwin smiled. "Thank you for arranging the cuneiform exhibit," he said to Mr. Tastan, meaning it. "It's quite a collection." The other man bowed slightly and lifted empty hands. "It is important, this. To promote a cultural exchange, goodwill among nations." His eyes darkened as he spoke. He looked intently at Edwin. "I am raising my brother's children, Mr. Sterling," he said, his mouth grim. "All because someone felt that our company should not expand, should not do business man to man with the Western world." He leaned forward across the table. "But I will continue the legacy of my father, my brother. I will not let fear keep me from fighting for what is right." "So you believe it wasn't an accident? The plane crash?" Mr. Tastan shook his head. "We were in Sofia establishing trade connections for our company. Sofia in Bulgaria is a central route to the west, an important place to have a base of operations. As we prepared to leave, my father asked me to stay in Sofia. He felt something was not quite right, that the deal was more fragile than it appeared." He paused, eyes on the table. He swallowed visibly and passed a shaking hand across his forehead. "As you know, he was quite right. Had all of us been on that plane, it would have been the end of Kara Inchi. So I must continue, Mr. Sterling. I must finish what my father began." What a strange day, Edwin thought as he watched Mr. Tastan across the table. God, to have his courage. Here is a wanted man whose life has been threatened 3 times, 2 of those in the last few weeks, and yet he seems more alive, more real than I could ever be. He inwardly laughed at himself for allowing the interviewer of every man to make him think his own life was in danger. Why would anyone kill me?